Hey, it's Aaron, and today I'm with a 2023 Mazda CX-50. This in particular is the turbo model. There are couple of different options. I'll go through them. This is all new this year. Mazda came out with these, showed them off last year, and started production on them late last year, and they are now in dealership. So this is, it's confusing, but they've done this before. The CX-30, if you remember that one, launched 3 years ago. It's the same thing, just in the bigger package. So this is, for all intents and purposes, a CX-5 that has more ground clearance and a bunch of other changes that are all kind of geared towards somebody who wants a more active lifestyle. So the CX-5, that would be like your everyday drive, the parent mobile for hauling the kids around, doing regular stuff, but you don't tend to go like out in the country or on, dirt roads, that kind of thing very much. That vehicle is good for a large chunk of the market. This vehicle is made for the people that have a little more activity going on. You need to get up to the lake, and there's a lot of dirt involved to get there. Maybe you need to, get to the farm or something like that. You do a lot more off-roading, or you live in a climate like this where it snows in heaps, which this is actually pretty good at. We've had a lot of snow this week. I've driven this for this week in it, and it's done really great. So, that's kind of the market they're aiming for. Differences are mainly in the appearance, some of the ruggedness, and a little bit of the interior, but mostly out here. So you're going to see it has a little higher height. The CX-50 has over 8 inches of clearance, depending on the package you get. Could be 8.3, could be 8.6, depending on which trim level you go with. But there you go, it's over 8 inches no matter what. You're pretty much on par with most Subaru models at that point with this. The other thing it has is 2 different engines. There is a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder that powers most of the lower trim levels. And then you can get the turbo model, which is that same engine boosted, and you add, I think it's 80 or 90 horsepower to that number. Much better drive, by the way. I would much rather have this turbo. The 2.5 in this, I don't know because I haven't driven it, but in the CX-5, it's a boring, unresponsive engine, not a whole lot going on. You really kind of want this turbo. So, all right, let's talk about design a little bit, and then we'll go over some features. Let's just get to it. I'll make the explanations as I do it. So from the side here, you can see what is basically the classic Mazda profile. This is a fairly small car. It's not a big one, but it's not tiny either, not really mid-size, in that small range of vehicles. Some companies still call them compact, some just call them small. I prefer to call it small. Compact to me is much smaller than this. So what we're looking at with this versus a CX-5, the first thing you're going to notice right off the bat are these wheel well covers and the amount of gap and the ground clearance underneath. It's a significant difference between that one and this one. You'll also see, maybe just because of the way the eye rolls over it, you'll see that the fenders look more accentuated. They're bigger and thicker, especially this rear one just looks bigger and thicker. The main reason for that, I think, just by eyeballing it, is because this angle right here and the resulting angle after that fold there is more acute. So it looks like it's sticking out further. It's not as smooth and rolling as it is on the CX-5. I think that is visually what's happening over there. Up here, probably the same thing, because I think the CX-5 has a little more of a roll right here versus this CX-50. Other than that, they are mostly the same. There's not a whole ton of difference. Wheels are about the same in terms of size and options. Most of the greenhouse and the bodywork, which is extremely simple. It's all just bone lines to make a couple of bends and moves through there. There's nothing harsh at all. Another big difference between the CX-5 and this CX-50 right here. much larger, much more pronounced. It's a faux rocker panel. It's not a real metal one. It's just plastic, but it is looking much beefier. That's kind of the point of this vehicle. It has more capability off-road. The transmission has options for switching between different drive modes. The biggest, there's only three. There's Eco or something like that. It's like the green one. And then you have normal, and then you have what are I don't remember what they call it. It's an off-road mode. It's like sand and mud or something like that. Sand and mud, I'll tell you how these off-road modes work really quickly. Basically, you pick one and the vehicle changes not only transmission mapping and the all-wheel drive system, it also changes steering input. So when you go into that off-road mode, steering takes much more effort on your part because everything you do needs to translate into movement on the car, and it's reminding you that you are in control off the road. So it's just heavier. You put it into normal mode or eco mode and it becomes much easier as an everyday driving around town kind of a drive mode. Now, one thing this doesn't have is any kind of weather mode. There's no snow or rain or any of that modes. So in the snow, what I learned was if it's just like it was this morning where it's very cold, the roads are a little bit slick because snow had blown over them overnight, but they weren't really slippery. Normal mode is just fine. The all-wheel drive system will take care of it. But the other day when the snow was fresh and there was a lot of it and it was slushy and heavy and all of that really slick, hard to drive in stuff, I put it in the off-road mode, did great. So that's kind of how I would recommend using all weather in this thing. So there you go. This is kind of the side profile. This is what it looks like. There's a lot of difference between this and the CX-5, but the CX-50 here is, for all intents and purposes, it is a CX-5. I'm going to show you a photo of the rear because I'm kind of up against that snowbank. I don't want to move the car. So I'll just show you a photo of the cargo space. It is ample. It is a good cargo space. I know a lot of people have knocked it for being subpar. It is below in size other vehicles in this segment, but I think it's perfectly adequate. If you need more than that, you really should be shopping up in size anyway. Yeah, you don't need that much cargo. Come on. Rear seats. I'm just going to do it from there instead of, again, I can show you a picture, but I don't think it's that important. They look like every rear seat in every other vehicle you've ever looked at. Pretty decent setup. I fitted them, which is kind of surprising because I'm 6'3" and I haven't missed a meal. So that's pretty good. I have a little bit of leg room and I have plenty of headroom back there. Pretty good. Up here, the driver's seat. I love the driver's seat up here. I love this area. Very adjustable. My only complaint is not that it feels cheap inside or looks cheap. Nothing about it is cheap. It's that it is boring. Black and more black and some other black. There's not a whole lot of stuff to catch your eyeballs in this. And I don't like that. Yeah, it's sad. There's some chrome accents here and there and some stitching, and that's it. Really wish that they had maybe two-toned the coloring or just a little something, right? Mazda has other interior packages I've seen that are really good, and I would like to see them in this. Other thing that bothers me, this has the panoramic, or the big sunroof up here. It's not panoramic. This big sunroof starts here, ends here, glass that can move over that glass. That's how it works. That sunroof hogs up like 2.5 or 3 inches of roof space inside, which means that with me, if I don't lower that seat all the way to the floor, I'm getting this, right? And so I have to put it all the way to the floor to create a little bit of a gap so that I don't feel like I'm rubbing my head on the roof. Really, I hate these things. I don't know why they put them in, but anyway, so there you go. Those are my only real complaints. Everything else is great. The infotainment is Mazda. It is not the best on the market, not the worst. It's okay. The sound system in this is good, but it's not great. The CX-30 kind of set a bar that Mazda's going to struggle hitting with the rest of their vehicles. Because the CX-30, with the Bose package, the Bose upgrade package that this has, The CX-30 with that package, it is a stereo with 4 wheels on it. It is beauty. It's like sitting in a concert hall or wearing headphones driving down the street in that car. This car, not so much. There's more space to fill, so it just needs better tuning, or the speakers need to be a different size or something. I don't know what it is, but it's not quite as good. It's not terrible, it's just not quite as good. Mazda set a pretty high bar with the CX-30. CX-50 here, not quite hitting that bar as far as the audio goes. Otherwise, drive quality is awesome. Every Mazda is good to drive. Mazda does not make a bad vehicle, so this isn't bad. Everything about this is a good vehicle. Not a huge fan of this color. I don't really like the white colors, but you know, some people do. You can get this in a bunch of great colors. The signature Mazda red color, of course. There's a beautiful blue. There's a black, I believe, and this one. And there might be some others, but those are the ones I'm remembering. So, wonderful vehicle to drive, just about the right size for a whole lot of people. And then you get the extra off-road capability and ruggedness that comes with the CX-50 over that CX-5. Price-wise, a little bit more than the CX-5, but not by too much. So still pretty competitive there. Definitely competitive against the people it's going after, the companies it's going after. The vehicles this is definitely heading for are the off-road versions from Toyota, like on the RAV4 and so on, and the Subaru lineup. This is definitely aiming for those, and it's hitting that mark pretty well. So very, very, very good vehicle. I think Mazda did a great job. So I'm not even going to move the camera again. I'm just going to call it good. I'm just going to keep rambling if I don't. So that's it. That's what I got. 2023 Mazda CX-50. This has been Aaron. Talk to you again soon.